Sung Jinwoo is able to raise up any woman he wants because he's one sexy or a farming motherfucker. If you want to attract waifus like Jinwoo, you gotta get sexy like Jinwoo. And here's the secret. You just need to grow the 4 sexy muscles that will transform you from a no-aura wimp to a seductive waifu magnet. The first muscle is abs. Everybody wants abs. Everyone loves abs, especially the ladies. And so there's no secret that if you want to become a waifu attracting magnet, then you gotta have a sexy midsection. And the best part is, abs are really easy to train. Like, I'm not even joking. Just look at this volume chart of the optimal amount of sets per week per muscle group that you need. And as a beginner, you only need 3 to 10 sets per week. What that means is you can literally do 3 sets of crunches on Tuesday, 3 sets of leg raises on Thursday, and that's all you need to develop optimally a nice, sexy midsection. But of course, you have to understand which exercises to train abs if you want a fully developed midsection, because we can actually break down the abdominals into 2 sections. We have the upper abs and we have the lower abs. On your first day of the week that you train abs, try to train your upper abs. This would include exercises like sit-ups and crunches, right? So your typical solo leveling One Punch Man workout that only hits your upper abs, but if we only hit those, we're gonna have an imbalance in our lower abs. So for our second day of the week, we are gonna hit our lower abs. And we can hit that using exercises like hanging leg raises or lying leg raises. The trick I want you to understand is that anytime you're bringing your torso down to your legs, you're gonna be hitting your upper abs. And anytime you're bringing your legs up to your torso, you're gonna be hitting your lower abs. But here's the thing. Just training your abs alone with crunches and leg raises aren't gonna be enough to really give you that defined shredded ab look. What you need to train is your obliques and your serratus. Now, you don't actually need to do a whole nother exercise to do this. You can hit them with the exact same exercises you're already doing, just by adding a twist. Because when you twist, you're adding in rotation to your torso, and that rotation is what hits your obliques and your serratus. And when you get those long pointy lines going straight into your abs, your midsection looks fucking delectable. Abs are great and all, but if you want to look like an actual man, then you need to train the next muscle, which is neck. Neck is what separates the boys from the men. If you have a well-developed physique everywhere else, but you have a small, skinny neck, you're gonna look like you don't even lift. If we look at the aura farming legend himself, Sung Jinwoo, we can see that he actually has a pretty thick neck. And that really makes him look more masculine, because that's what we're really trying to go for here. I want you to understand this concept called sexual dimorphism. So all this means is that we are attracted to the traits that the opposite sex has that we don't. So as men, we are attracted to tits, ass, a nice small waist, an hourglass figure. All of these things are the traits that women have that we don't. And that's why we find those traits more attractive. And so that means for women, what do they find attractive? They want a big, muscular man with broad shoulders, a hairy man, a textured man with scars, and an aggressive man. Because these are the traits that they don't have, and so for sexual dimorphism, that's what turns them on. And a thick neck is one of the most potent muscles that you can use to trigger this effect. You can train your neck by doing neck curls and neck extensions. So let's pull up the volume chart again. And we can see that for beginners, you only really need 0 to 6 sets a week. So that means to optimally grow our neck as a beginner in the gym, all we have to do is 3 sets for neck extensions, 3 sets for neck curls for one workout, and then do the same thing again later in the week. That's it. 2 times a week, 3 sets per exercise. When you get started, just do no weight for the neck curls, just your body weight alone. And after about 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you get more comfortable with it, your neck is recovering well, try adding on like a 2.5 plate or a 5-pound plate. And if you don't have plates lying around with you, like let's say you're doing this at home, because 2.5 pounds is so light, you can just grab anything, like just grab some books. Any weight that you can just put on your head will help you add resistance to this exercise so that you can continue growing your neck and build that sexy masculine look that you want. And as a pro tip, if you are using plates, then make sure to take a paper towel and put that between your head and the plate as you do the exercise. Because what I found is when you do this exercise, especially in a public gym, the plates tend to be kind of dirty, and after a while, there'll literally be like some dirt on the paper towel. So you don't want that getting on your head, making your skin break out or anything. We don't want that. So the paper towel method is super easy, and if you are using plates, then make sure to do this. So that's how you train next. So you look more masculine, you become sexier, and you're able to attract beautiful women. But I guarantee you, dude, that there's a hidden skill that you're missing. And without this skill, everything that I'm talking about in this video is going to be pointless. Like literally, nobody in the anime community talks about this. Because when I started working out, when I was inspired by Deku from My Hero Academia, I wanted to become more attractive. I wanted to be sexier and to become more confident, but I didn't know how to stay consistent. And now that sounds like, oh, okay, you lack consistency, but here's the thing, dude. Without consistency, you will never make progress. This problem is the biggest reason why anime watchers who get into the gym never see results. And so if you want to stay consistent and you want to learn everything about how to stay consistent and actually make gains and build the body you want, I've covered all of that inside of the Training Arc Blueprint. But I'll play a short snippet here so you have the general idea of how to go about becoming consistent. So sustainably, if we want to actually get this difficult thing inside our comfort zone, what we do is we use baby steps. We take that very difficult habit that's unattainable to us and break it down into tiny, tiny pieces, hundreds, maybe even thousands of tiny sub-steps that if we do in succession, will reach our goal. So the third sexy muscle that you need to become a waifu attracting magnet is side delts. Your delts are your shoulders, so we're talking about the side part of your shoulders. And it's this side delt muscle that really makes you have a V-taper look. Big shoulders are another sexually dimorphic trait because women have petite shoulders. And so men need to have big, strong shoulders. And so if you're a man and you have skinny fucking shoulders, then you just kind of look like a woman, dude. Like, no offense. Because men need to have these big shoulders, which is why I'm telling you, you must train side delts. Let's go back to the volume chart. We can see that for beginners, we only need 10 sets per week for your shoulders. And this encompasses all heads of your shoulder. So the front, side, and rear delt. So what this means in practice is maybe 3 sets of our shoulder volume goes to front delt, and that would be covered with our overhead pressing. We don't need to do front raises or anything. 3 sets would go to our rear delts, and that would be with like face pulls or reverse flies. And then 4 sets would go to our side delts. The best exercise for training your side delt is the lateral raise. It doesn't matter if you use cables or machines or dumbbells. As long as you're doing your lateral raises, you're gonna develop that V-taper look, and you will become more attractive. Now, the most accessible version of lateral raises is obviously gonna be dumbbells because you don't even need that heavy weights, like maybe 5 to 10 pound dumbbells is more than enough as a beginner. And so as a pro tip, what you can do is hold the dumbbell where your pointer finger is at the head of the dumbbell. What this does is it creates more internal rotation so that it activates the side delt more. If you held it just on the side normally, then you'd actually be getting a little bit of your front delt in there, right? So just that little small tip helps you get more out of the same exercise. Now that we've covered side delts, we can move on to the fourth and final sexy muscle that you must develop, and that muscle is forearms. Let me ask you this, bro. What muscles do you see when you're wearing a t-shirt? Well, most of them are covered, but the ones that you can see are, well, mostly your forearms. You can see a little bit of neck and a little bit of traps, but we already kind of covered that beforehand. But your forearms, girls will see 99% of the time, right? And so if we have small forearms, we're going to look small. And so if we want to really look attractive in any scenario, like when we're just walking down the street or when we're just casually going about our day, we want to still look jacked. We want to still look attractive. And that's what forearms do. And not even to mention that if you have nice, jacked, juicy forearms, you will be aura farming for days, man. Oh my fucking God. So just like how we trained neck, we must hit our forearms with both wrist curls and wrist extensions. Curls are going to hit the inside part of your forearm, and then the extension is going to hit that meaty outside part of your forearm. So let's go to the volume chart again. As you can see, we only need 0 to 6 sets for our forearms, but this is for both this time, not just like for only extensions or only curls like it was for neck. So that means we literally do half the amount of volume that we did for neck as we do for forearms. So it's really easy to make gains. You can literally do one day, 3 sets of wrist curls, and then a second day, 3 sets of wrist extensions. And that's it. That's all you need to optimally grow your forearms so that you can start developing that sexy masculine look. It's that easy. Now, as a pro tip, if you're doing wrist extensions, if you're like clenching the dumbbell too hard and you're going too fast, you might feel a little bit of wrist pain. So what helps is just go slower, be very controlled, and maybe try out a thumbless grip. That I find usually helps me do the reps better and more comfortable, and ultimately I can push harder. And try to aim to have the entire rep take 2 to 4 seconds. These muscles are gonna be pretty weak at first, and so if you need to start off with a 2.5 pound dumbbell, a 5 pound dumbbell, that is perfectly fine. And if anything, the wrist extensions will probably be a little bit weaker than your wrist curls, because if you're going to the gym, you kind of use like that curling action a lot. Like think about if you're doing a bicep curl, your wrist is naturally already curling, but the wrist extension, that's a little bit more awkward. And the more weight you add, the stronger you're getting and the more muscle you're building. So those are the 4 sexy muscles that you must develop to attract waifus in real life. But even with this, girls still aren't attracted to you. But it doesn't have to be this way. Because I used to be just like you, dude. I would sit in bed all day watching YouTube, watching anime, playing video games till 2 in the morning and then jacking off before I went to bed. Like I did this for years, and every time I would try to make more progress, I'd be good for like a couple of weeks, then I'd give up and back and forth. This cycle never ended. I felt like there was something wrong with me, like I was incapable of reaching the success that I wanted. But then I realized that we've been going about making progress wrong. If you want to actually make progress, it doesn't start with what you do, it starts with who you are. And the moment that I realized this, I started working on my consistency. I started working on my mind. And through this simple practice, very quickly, I became the type of person that was able to stick to things. Whenever I had a desire, I would just go and get it done. No more excuses, no more whining, no more complaining. I just became a ruthless action taker. And that is what's attractive. And so if you want to learn how you can start developing this consistency, this control over your mind that will actually allow you to stick to the gym, become more attractive, and get the woman of your dreams, then I covered the exact process that I used to do all of that in this video right here. So click on this video right now so that you can learn how to become the guy that can actually attract his dream woman.